Nurses, who has to ask the famous sexual history question. What was the best answer you got? I worked in a prison and our sexual history question gets a little more in-depth. However, my favorite answer of all time followed the question, have you ever used drugs or illicit substances? To which the inmate responded no, he had never. Then the sexual history question came up, and he said, well, I snorted coke off HOKer, but I didn't FCAC her, so does that count? We had to restart the questionnaire. I signed in a 16-year-old girl who told the doctor, can't be in labor, I've never had sex, as she gives her dad, please don't kill me look. Family moments. This happened recently at my work. Teen girl presents with abdominal pain and swears up and down that there is no way for her to be pregnant. Doc orders tests, and as the lab is drawing blood, the mother asks the doc what he thinks it could be. The doc said, well, if she claims she couldn't be pregnant, she might have some kind of tumor or mass growing in her abdomen. I love that doc. After lab results come back, it appears she is actually pregnant. Ultrasound is ordered and shows a baby that is well developed. Mom is ordered to leave the room, and a vaginal exam confirms that her abdominal pain is definitely contractions from active labor. Patient is still saying that it's impossible. Doc orders mom from the room and goes in to tell her that no matter what she is trying to say, right now it's time to grow the FCAC up, because you are going to be a mother in a few hours. From my time as an army medic in Germany, circa 2003, had a guy report to sick call with personal filled out on his sick call slip. 99% of the time, this means STD or something wrong with the reproductive bits. I was the fortunate one to pull his chart for screening. I got him into the exam room, got him to verbalize exactly what personal reason he was in the aid station for. It was sores on his penis. Okay, I start prepping the culture swab and continue getting the history, how long he had the sores, when he last had sex, any burning or irritation while urinating. A few days, never, and no. Wait, you haven't had sex? What about sexual contact, to include oral, anal, genital on genital? I'm a virgin. I've never been with anyone else. What the FCAC are the sores from? I've been masturbating a bunch. How much? 8 times a day. Our pa ended up sending him back with the profile to his chain of command prohibiting masturbation more than once a day. 11 girls in 48 hours. Really? No. I'm sad and lonely. PT came in for difficulty with walking due to pain. When pressed, he admitted that he had someone forearm deep in him a week prior from a rough encounter. Sent him to a specialist. Turns out his pubic symphysis was inflamed and might have a stress fracture. Oddly, when results were given to him, he made it clear that it was worth it. Many years ago I had to accompany my grandma RIP 2013 to a deposition hearing, can't remember what it exactly was. She was suing a grocery store because a shelf collapsed on her hand and broke her wrist. There was a big conference room table with her doctor there, attorneys, and other official people. Anyway, as they were going down the checklist of questions asking how this injury affected her life, the attorney asked, would you say that your sex life has been negatively affected? Granny holds up her cast and says, hell, yes. I was mortified. The room was humming with muffled giggles. As a med student in an STD clinic in Miami, I asked a lady how many sexual partners she had. Honey, I get paid to FCAC. I got no clue. She got all the antibiotics. When I was doing my housemanship a few years back, a girl told me she's a virgin. I was about to tell her about the fetus in her uterus. Congratulations, you're having a messiah. During my clinicals in school, I had in a rotation. Now, I like it's exciting, and you see some really weird tea. I was baptized in the weird tea puddle by a 14-year-old chick who came in with abdominal pain. So my preceptor, this was early in clinicals, is doing his thing and asking medical history. When he asks her if she was sexually active, she says yes. Preceptor asks last sexual encounter thinking something was up, to which she responds, right before I came here. So, Preceptor asks if she can describe the nature of her pain. She says yes. It's probably from the cucumber in my ass. UF King what? Turns out, She had a cucumber in her ass. My favorite was this young guy, maybe in his 20s, comes in, and on the form he circled the sexual history part, drew an arrow to the back. Then on the back it read, "It all began back in the 8th grade with Stacy." He continued on to fill half the page up with his sexual history. I'm pretty sure he did it only because he had to wait so long. So I answer the phone in my ear once, and I'm greeted with a long sigh, and then a steady stream of verbal diarrhea explaining the reason for the call. It went like this. "See, so my boyfriend and I were having sex, and we both have herpes, and he pulled out and some got in my eye. Do I need to come in?" Spaced for easy reading. Read without the spaces. I proceeded to tell her that she should probably seek treatment if she wasn't on an antiviral currently. We saw her an hour later, and her eye was as red as a tomato. I sent a nursing student in to get her history without telling her what happened. The look on the student's face was priceless. When I was 13, I responded, yes, when the nurse asked me if I was sexually active. She then asked when was the last time I had sex, to which I uncomfortably answered that I have never had sex. I thought masturbation counted. When were you last sexually active? Exhales loudly, with raised eyebrows. That long, huh? When was your last prostate exam? I don't have one. They removed it? No, I have a vagina. Oh. I was a medical assistant working for a dermatology office. A 65-year-old man came in with an abundance of genital warts and said, "I kept sleeping with that same dirty woman. That's why I got these things." I was in active labor, pushing a tiny human being from my body, when a well-meaning medical student asked me if I had any history of sexual activity. Let's go check out the maternity ward. You know those chicks put out. Robin Williams, RIP. My wife works in a hospital. She told me a story about a patient that presented with constipation 3 days and rectal pain. An examination found he had a rotting cucumber up his ass, which he claimed no knowledge of. Turns out he was not lying. He had recently returned from an extended trip away from home, during which he had contracted a venereal disease, which he had passed along to his wife following his return. Rather than confront him with his misdeeds, his wife decided to go straight to retribution. So she drugged his dinner one night, then administered the coup de concombre, so to speak. Of all the possible visuals that come to mind when I think of this story, the one that I enjoy most is the wife at the store, picking out the cucumber. Yeah, this is the one. Not a doc, but when I went to my allergist to discuss an allergy to semen, B had to ask me very in-depth questions about each encounter. I had to tell an old, kind man about how my boyfriend's cum turned my face red and itchy. Army combat medic here. One guy came in with a very swollen eye that had been getting worse. As it turns out, the guy went to a fully nude strip club Saturday night and had a great time with the women there. So much fun that one stripper shoved her snatch in his eager face. The next day, his eye was puffy. By Monday morning, sick call, it was so swollen he couldn't open his eye, and the erythema and edema was spreading over that half of his face. It was pretty jarring to look at. Pa sent him for emergency surgery, and this is where I arrive at the point of this story. After draining his eye and flushing it, they looked for any particulate that could have caused the irritation, and they found a crab. Well, the stripper had crabs. So when she shoved dude's face into her vagina, some crabs took a journey into his eye and got stuck beneath his eyelid. It was this guy's first time going to a strip club too, but it sure as fuck wasn't his last. Not as funny as the rest, but I got a laugh out of hearing a young girl tell me she's not currently sexually active because the last time she had sex was the day before.